Hello. I've now taken part in the new Egomania live. We're live to the studio. We're live. Look at me. Everyone's thoughts original. Everyone's art has to be Instagrammed. Can people do art about Instagram? Can people have thoughts about making it into a podcast? Can a bird be a beautiful bird anymore? It has to be taken photographs of. Of course it does, right? We're living in this world, and I want to slice this pie as well. I'm here in the deep 7 layers of lockdown madness, and I've decided to do what I've always been tempted to do, but I wasn't sure about doing yet. I wanted to reach the dizzying heights of internet success. What would I do with it? Every kid now dreams of being a YouTuber. It's all about me, see? It's like, what will I do? What will my fan base say? It's like, fuck it. All right, this is a show that's just called The Nice Nick Stocks, and I'm just going to talk each week about a documentary I watched. At one stage, I sort of went weeping off the rails and watched 4 documentaries a day. I don't mind this. This is just by obnoxious teenage beverage that's blue colored. The flavor blue 506C number colored. And so I thought I would do a documentaries podcast, or not even podcast. I don't know what this is. This YouTube? All right, yeah, documentary. And each week I talk about a new documentary. Well, they're not actually new documentaries, but they're all documentaries. But they're ones that I think are worth a watch. And I will, once I find out how, link you in the ones in the space below to the documentary when I'm talking about. And I'm going to talk about this week Encounters at the End of the Earth uh, by Werner Herzog. Firstly, Werner Herzog is like a man who has been a normal man who's been abducted and then has been given 17 injections of German and then 2 injections of alien blood plasma in him, and he asks questions. It's all like, but why does a horse run? It's all like, and he asks one question in this documentary. He's all like, but if an ape is as smart as it is, why does it not jump onto a horse's back and then run and become its master? And I'm like, where the hell did that come out of? And it's those type of deep thoughts and unnecessary questions that make Werner Herzog amazing. His interviews, he just lets people fall on their own sword. He interviews all these eccentric people. So it's not, he won't interview the head of the company. He'll interview the street sweeper, and he'll just let the street sweeper talk about whatever he wants. And then so there's the street sweeper, and you see him, he's cleaning the street, but actually he's got a secret fetish for unicorns. And he's one of them people that whenever you're talking about a normal subject will just career it off into what they want to talk about. I wonder how talk, instead of stopping him, being all like, here, look, we've got a structure for this documentary, he just lets him veer off. So like, I think there's one in this so this one where he goes to the North Pole, or is it the South Pole? Who cares? It's ice, penguins, construction companies. I think there's native people that still live there, but their populations have been decimated, and so now it's just people who have came to seek their adventure, or people who have had split ups with their wives, or people who have lost their mind and decided, I'm taking a job in the North Pole. And so he's sent over. Discovery sends Discovery sends him over there and to investigate the North Pole, and he meets all these eccentric people, and he gets so much out of them. And you're like, how the hell did you get that much out of them? And he just indulges their whims and fantasies. And because there's if you get someone on the subject they want to talk about, people will talk for hours, because always in conversation, there's always a topic, and then you take your turn, and then they take their turn, and then say you get really excited about one topic, and then they veer it away onto something dull, and then you're like, oh fuck, I wish we were still talking about this topic. You try and veer it back, but you can't really get there. He just lets them take control of the conversation. And so you see a wide range of people. He interviews crane drivers, people who are investigating seals. He shows you wonderful scenes of what underneath the ice looks like, using his really weird German voice and sort of classical music to get you into the fame of what you're watching. And somehow all of this, he makes a documentary out of this. And halfway through it, whenever they're interviewing this guy on the world's largest iceberg, and you're sitting there watching this eccentric middle-aged fella with a bit of a red face talk about the world's largest iceberg, and he spends all his time left alone in this sort of research truck in the middle of Antarctic, investigating this iceberg, and he's all like, "Listen to the sounds," and you're like, "I should be high for this." Werner Herzog never talks about getting high while watching his things, but I could only imagine that it would be the perfect things to fall asleep to and then wake up again. And because there's no linear path to a Werner Herzog documentary, normally you're just, this one's about the North Pole. It's going to be some meandering stories. He's going to interview some people about different elements of the North Pole. And then in the end, he'll say something like, there are part-time workers and part-time dreamers. And then you're like, it makes sense. So North Pole is sort of made up as a state of mind, not just a really trippy land made of ice, because, around the world you see a wee bit of snow, but the North Pole being constantly snow is really trippy. The same way a desert is really trippy, that it's always sand. You know what I mean? Like there's hardly fuck all rain. And people always say, and it's very clever when he done, because people always say, I would love to go to the desert. I'd love to see what the desert looks like. And people who have never seen snow before get very excited once they see it. And people love the extremes. Don't want to be in extremes too long, and don't want to be without water or without heat in the extremes, but they want to go as a tourist and see the extremes. But anyway, Encounters at the End of the Earth, and it's one of the best documentaries I've watched. I'll review loads of documentaries off Werner Herzog, and the interesting thing about why I'm doing this is because I love understanding about systems and understanding about the world. And documentaries give you a manageable snapshot of another world. You look at a window into another world, a path you never took. What's happening in North Pole right now, I don't know. I can never be arsed going. Werner Herzog could be arsed. Thank fuck he can be arsed. I'll watch that. What do the people like? That's very nice. What does that food taste like? I wonder what that feels like, to where he can take you down these avenues, which is nice, because especially under the lockdown right now, no one's going to the North Pole, even if you'd want to. And then having seen movies like The Thing and stuff like that, that sort of shows you about the loneliness and isolation of the North Pole. This is a very interesting documentary that shows about the unbridled beauty of the glistening white and the wildlife and all the ice and the creaking of the ice. So I would definitely recommend you watch Encounters at the End of the Earth. And I'm going to be doing these whenever I can be arsed. I think I can save these live streams. I don't even know. I'm here drinking a ridiculous drink in my manor house, watching documentaries, dipping slowly into mental illness, and you can dip into it with me and join me with that, and we'll both talk about some systems, conspiracies, thoughts and dreams together, and we'll see how it goes. Normally people have big production companies and stuff. I don't even know, am I sitting upright? Should I be there? Maybe that should be there. I'm more an optimist. Hey, you know what I mean? Should I be? What way do you want me to sit? Oh, you know what I mean? So, anyway, for 10 minutes we'll do, and I will stop it then. Goodbye.